Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to learn about the kidney. This is the part of urinary system. In this we will learn about various aspects of the kidney. First of all, coming toward the location of kidney. Kidney is located retroperitoneally inside the abdominal cavity. Retroperitoneally. There are actually two kidneys in the body. That's why the kidney are located in the right upper quadrant of the peritoneum of the peritoneal cavity or the abdominal cavity, right upper quadrant and left upper quadrant of the abdominal cavity. You can also call that the kidney is located hypochondrically or in the right and left hypochondric region. Right and left hypochondric region. Hypochondric mean below the diaphragm. Retroperitoneally mean uh, in the dorsally in the peritoneal cavity or dorsally in the abdominal cavity. Retro mean behind. Coming toward the retroperitoneal word in the next slide, the kidney is attached with the spleen actually, with the part of the ligament or part of the greater omentum. That is a ligament like structure, that is the part of greater omentum, that is called splenorenal ligament. And the position of kidney is from T12 to L3. It means that the kidney is located, uh, coming toward this diagram, see this carefully. This is located from T12 to L3, mean from the 12th thoracic vertebrae to the 3rd lumbar vertebrae, from 12th thoracic vertebrae to the 3rd lumbar vertebrae. Mean the kidney is located in between these four vertebrae. The actually the position of kidney is changing with the inhalation and exhalation of the body. When we inhale the air or when we exhale the air, the position of the diaphragm changes, and changing the position of diaphragm will definitely change the position of the kidney. By changing the position of the diaphragm, the position of the kidney will be changed. When the diaphragm become dome shaped, the kidney goes upward, but when the diaphragm become flat, the kidney become downward. But the right kidney is a bit lower than left kidney, because in the right kidney, in the diagram you can see this one, this is the right kidney and this is the left kidney. This man is dorsally, this is the back side of this man. So this kidney is a bit lower in position than this one. This is adjacent with the spleen, and this is adjacent with the liver. Above this, liver is present, and above this you can say that the spleen is present. Not above this, but some part of the spleen is above this kidney, this left kidney. So this is the position of the kidney, that the last two ribs, the 11th and 12th rib, give protection to the kidney, while the lower part of the kidney is not protected, is not having any rib cage. But the last two vertebrae, actually there are 12 pairs of vertebrae in the body, so the last two vertebrae, the 11th and 12th vertebrae, give protection to the kidney. The size of the right kidney is also a bit smaller than the left kidney, and the position is also a bit lower than the left kidney, because the right kidney, upon the right kidney, the weight of the liver is present, this weight of the liver make the right kidney a bit lower in position. This diagram also represents the location or position of kidney. You can see over here, this is the kidney, this is the kidney, this is the right one, this is the left one. Above the kidney, adrenal gland is present. This is adrenal gland, and this kidney is, you can see that this is present backside or behind this colon. Behind this colon, this is the transverse colon. The kidney is present behind the transverse colon. You can also see over here that this kidney, the left kidney, is adjacent with the spleen. But actually this is also dorsal from the spleen, or dorsal to the spleen. This kidney is dorsal to the spleen. This is located behind the spleen, behind some part of the spleen, not the spleen. The spleen is actually smaller in size as compared to the kidney. That is why. So this portion, if we divide the abdomen into 4 quadrants, this is abdomen, and this is, for example, this is one line, horizontal line, and this is transverse line. This is divided into 4 quadrants. This is the right upper quadrant, this is the left upper quadrant, this is the right lower quadrant, and this is the left lower quadrant. So in the upper right quadrant and the upper left quadrant, the kidney is located, and this is located retroperitoneally. Now you will learn what is the retroperitoneal position. And this you will see, this is the transverse section of the abdominal cavity, transverse section. And this you can see that this is the dorsal side of the body, and this is the ventral side of the body. This is the frontal side of the body, and this is the back side of the body. So this is the, you can see these are the horns of the vertebral column or vertebrae. This is the vertebral column. This whole represents the vertebral column, and inside the vertebral column there is spinal cord. And this is the kidney. This is the kidney. So kidney is located inside the abdomen. You can see that this is somewhat near the spinal cord, or somewhat near to the vertebral column, but this is located on the dorsal side of the abdominal cavity. Dorsal side, not frontal side. This is the frontal side. On the frontal side, stomach is present, then spleen is present, and then this is on the very backward side, on the very dorsal side of the abdominal cavity, the kidney is present. So this kidney is highly protected. This is highly protected. This is located this position is retroperitoneal position. This position is retroperitoneal position. This retro mean backside, and peritoneal mean from the, and this you can see, this is the spleen, and this is the kidney, and this junction, this is called splenorenal ligament. Splenorenal ligament. This whole blue line inside the peritoneal cavity, this whole blue line inside the abdominal cavity, this is the this represent the mesentery, omentum, and other. This is actually the peritoneum. This represent the peritoneum. This represent the peritoneal layer. But this is not inside the peritoneal layer. This is not inside the peritoneal cavity, though this is dorsal to the peritoneal layer. This is this is in connection with the spleen through the one of the part of the greater omentum, or one of the part of the peritoneal layer, that is greater omentum. This is called splenorenal ligament. Splenorenal ligament. This is this slide represents the side of the kidney. In this diagram, or in this image, you can see that this is the actual size of the, this represents the actual size of the kidney. you can imagine that the kidney is just like the size of the soap, the washing soap, which are the bathing soap, which you usually use during bathing or during hand washing. The soap, this is the size of the soap. This is just like the size. This right kidney have no adrenal gland, but the left kidney is having adrenal gland. This is adrenal gland. This is with adrenal gland. This is without adrenal gland. And this is just like this, the shape of the bean shape. The length of this kidney is roughly 4 inch. Not exactly. This is roughly 4 inch, and the width of this kidney is roughly 2 inch, and the thickness of this kidney is 1 inch. 1 inch in diameter, or 1 inch in thickness, 2 inch in width, 4 inch in the height or in the length, 4 inch length, 2 inch width, and 1 inch thickness. um, just like the soap, you can imagine the size of the soap, that a normal soap is 4 inch in the length, and the 2 inch in the width, and 1 inch in the diameter or thickness. That's why the I can compare the size of the kidney with the size of the soap. But the position of the kidney is always changing by the inhalation and exhalation of the air. Now coming toward the layers of the kidney, you can see in the diagram that the kidney is having three basic layers of the kidney: renal capsule, renal adiposa, and renal fascia. The inner layer is renal capsule, the middle layer is renal adiposa, and the outer layer is the renal fascia. But the actual layer of the kidney is the renal capsule. You can see over here the somewhat violet color. This layer is the first layer upon the kidney. This layer is called, which is somewhat violet in color or purple in color. This layer is called renal capsule, the first layer upon the kidney, which give protection to the kidney, which give proper shape to the kidney. You can imagine this first layer. This first layer upon the kidney is called renal capsule. The second layer above the kidney is fatty layer. This is called, this whole layer from this to this is fatty layer, and this layer is called renal adiposa. This is called renal adiposa because it represents the fatty layer. The first layer is only above the kidney, but the second layer is above the kidney as well as above the adrenal gland. The second layer is also above the adrenal gland. The second layer encloses the kidney as well as the adrenal gland. The first layer only encloses the kidney, the renal layer. The second layer encloses the kidney as well as the adrenal gland. The third layer, the renal fascia. This is the third layer. This thin layer, this is called renal fascia. This renal fascia, this renal fascia encloses both the kidney and adrenal gland, and this is a fibrous layer. This is very strong layer. This gave connection of kidney with other organs. This gave connection of kidney with other organ, with the dorsal side of the abdominal cavity, with the you can say with the spleen, as well as with other organs also. This gave connection. So this is the renal fascia. Renal fascia is just to hold the kidney on its position. Okay. Now coming towards the next diagram. In this diagram you can see adipose tissue. This slide represents the adipose tissue inside the kidney. what types are fatty layers inside the kidney, are fats inside the kidney. In this diagram, you will see in this diagram roughly, this represent the kidney. This yellow represent the kidney. Here this is labeled. This blue color represent what? This represent the renal capsule, the first layer upon the kidney, as I have discussed in the previous slide. This is the renal capsule. The third layer, this one, this greenish layer, this one, this is the renal, this is the perirenal fat. This is the perirenal fat, or you can say that this perirenal fat is present inside which layer? Inside the renal adipose layer. The renal adipose layer contains fats. These fats are called perirenal fats. As in the previous diagram, in this one, this diagram, this is renal adipose. This renal adipose contains fats. You can see these are droplets of fats. These are masses of fats, and these fats are called what? Perirenal fats. The perirenal fats which are present in between the renal capsule and renal fascia is called the fats which are present inside the renal adipose are called the perirenal fats, are the fats which are present in between the renal capsule and renal fascia are called what? Perirenal fats. The fourth one, this is called the renal fascia. This layer, this is the renal fascia. You can see this layer disconnect the kidney with the spleen and other organs. So this is the renal fascia, and this renal fascia is connect the kidney with other organs. And the next one, this is called pararenal fat. Pararenal fats are the fats which are present outside the renal fascia. If all the fats which are present outside this layer, outside this reddish layer, are called pararenal. For example, this small amount of fats represent the pararenal fat. This is not a small amount, but this in this diagram you can see in a small amount. This is the actual diagram. In this actual diagram, this is the transverse section of the kidney, and this transverse section you can see that the first layer, this is the renal capsule, this is the renal adipose, and after renal adipose, this is this layer, the small layer, this small fibrous layer, this is the renal fascia which connect this with the other organs. And these fats in the lateral side, this is large amounts. That's why over here these fats and these fats are the same. So these fats represent the pararenal fats, all the fats which are present outside this layer, this renal fascia. All the fats which are present outside this layer, outside this layer, that is called pararenal fats. I hope you will understand this one. Now the internal overview of the kidney. This is a simple diagram of the kidney, but this is not the actual diagram of the kidney. In this diagram you can see that the outer layer, this is called renal capsule. This is called the renal capsule. This is called renal capsule, which surround the kidney, only kidney. Now internally, after the renal capsule, directly start a layer or part of the kidney that is called renal cortex. Renal cortex, just like renal cortex represent the rind of just like the rind of the orange, the rind of the orange, or the rind of the apple, or the rind of any other. You can see the rind of the watermelon. just like the rind of the watermelon, the that represent that is represented over here. This is the renal cortex, and below the renal cortex, this area, this is called renal medulla. This area is called renal medulla. This area is called renal medulla, and after the renal medulla, this area is called renal sinus. Renal sinus contain large number of tissues. Large number of tissues are contained by the renal sinus, while the renal medulla also contain large number of tissues. I will and this also contain, this renal cortex also contain large number of these three major portion of kidney represent the internal overview of the kidney. Now coming toward the proper kidney, in this diagram you can see this is the kidney. This is the bean shaped kidney, and this is the first layer, on the internal layer, renal capsule. After the renal capsule, this represent the renal cortex. But you should also learn that the renal cortex is not from this portion to this portion. This is not from this portion to this portion. This is not the renal cortex. The renal cortex is also in between these structures. This is also the renal cortex. Now you should learn about the names of these structure. This structure represents the renal pyramid. This is the renal pyramid. This is the base, and this is the tip. This is the tip of the renal pyramid, and this is the base of the renal pyramid. This is the renal pyramid. This is pyramidal shape, that's why this is called renal pyramid. And in between, the space in between the renal pyramid is called renal column. This space is called renal column. This space is called renal column. Renal column is the part of renal cortex. This is the renal cortex. This is the renal cortex. In the previous diagram, the renal column is not represented. This diagram do not show any renal column, but actually the renal column is present in every kidney. That is also the part of the renal cortex. So this is the renal cortex. This is also the renal cortex, but this part of the renal cortex is called renal column, and this is called the renal pyramid. From each renal pyramid, from the base, from the peak, or from the tip of each renal pyramid, a tubule arises. This tubular like structure, this arises, and this is called minor calyx. Each renal pyramid gave rise to minor calyx. And large number of minor calyces combine together to make a big calyx, that is called major calyx. Large number of minor calyxes combine together to form major calyx. This is the major calyx. This is the minor calyx. Okay. Then large number of major calyces or major calyx combine together to make the renal pelvis. One renal pelvis is there. Only one renal pelvis will be there in each kidney. But the number of minor calyces will vary. Number of minor and major calyces will vary inside the kidney, but that are not large in number. But the renal pelvis is only one in number. Large number of major calyxes combine together to make renal pelvis. Okay. Now coming towards this one, this is the renal pyramid. The renal pyramid, you can say that there are 8 to 18 the number of renal pyramids inside the kidney is range from 8 to 18. So you can easily estimate the number of minor calyces. Minor calyces also they will also be from 8 to 18 in number. So the now coming toward the next diagram, but in this diagram you should just have a brief overview about the internal structure of the kidney. Now this diagram, but that is not given in this one. This diagram also is having an outlet. This is outlet. This is called ureter. The pelvis is connected with the tubular structure that is called ureter, which contain urine. Now you can see in the diagram that this is small shaped kidney, and this kidney represent the this one. This is the renal artery, and this is the renal vein. This is the renal artery, and this is the renal vein. This renal artery goes inside the kidney and form to the large number of branches. These are called interlobular artery. This is called interlobular artery. Interlobular artery. And this interlobular artery further gave branches which are called arcuate artery. We will learn about the arteries in the next lecture, but you should just have a simple idea about this one. These are called arcuate artery, and this large number of the interlobular artery are there, not, and it do not depend upon the number of lobes, and do not depend upon the number of pyramids. But in between each pyramid, in between each two pyramid, there will be large number of interlobular artery. Not only one lobular artery, but large number of interlobular artery will be there. So this diagram, in this diagram we will learn about the lobe. What is the lobe of the kidney? So a small functional unit of the kidney, a small functional unit of the kidney, not the smallest functional unit, a small functional unit of the kidney is represented by a lobe. A lobe represents a small functional unit. This lobe actually represent a small represent the area which comprises of one pyramid, renal pyramid, small portion of renal cortex, and small portion of what? Renal column. One lobe represent the area inside the kidney which comprises of one renal pyramid, small portion of what? Of renal cortex, and small portion of what? Of renal column. This is also part of renal column, is also part of the renal cortex. So you can say that a lobe is represented by the I will roughly write over here that lobe this is called renal lobe, not simple lobe. Renal lobe represent the small functional unit of the kidney which comprises of one pyramid, renal pyramid, plus overlying cortex, plus half of the adjacent renal column, half of the adjacent renal column. In this diagram you can see that, for example, this is a lobe, this area, this is a lobe. So in this lobe you will imagine that each kidney contain 8 to 18 lobes, because the renal pyramids are also from 8 to 18. That varies from kidney to kidney. So in each kidney there are the number of pyramids are 8 to 18. So in each kidney the number of lobes will be from 8 to 18. This lobe represent this area, from this to this area. Each lobe represent from this is one lobe, this is one lobe, because this contain one renal pyramid, overlaying cortex, and adjacent half of the adjacent what renal column. So located between adjacent renal column with peripheral limits within medulla being the interlobular artery. In this definition they say that this interlobular artery limit the boundary of the renal lobule, or lobules, simple lobule, renal lobe, not lobule, renal lobe. But the lobule, coming toward the lobule is the smaller functional unit uh, of the kidney, not the smallest functional unit, the smaller functional unit of the kidney, which represent all which represent the small portion of the lobe of the kidney, small portion of the lobe of the kidney, which comprises of only one collecting duct, collecting urine from the nephrons, from large number of nephrons, which contain only one collecting duct, the small functional unit of the, or the small portion of the lobe, renal lobe, which contain only one collecting duct. Okay,